Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. I'm building a castle here because that's what some of you have been requesting. Recently I've been trying to step out of my comfort zone, and I was asking you in my last videos, what should I build? What should I do? Because I'm trying to work on some more unique builds and on stuff that's unique for me, because I'm a mansion builder. You know this. I'm all about mansions, so I'm just trying to work on some different builds, and some of you have been asking for a castle, so I decided to step out of my comfort zone once again and to tackle a castle. I built this on the 64x64 lot in Windenburg, the one on the island, and I started off by working on this slope. So this is a path that is going to lead up to the castle. And I used lots of debug rocks. These are mainly from Snowy Escape, or all of them are probably. I sized some of them down and I used the tool mod to just lower them into the ground. You don't need the tool mod for this. You could also build a basement below and raise them up and all that, but it's super convenient to use the tool mod for this. And as always, a little disclaimer, this build is still unmodded in the gallery, and it's also CC free, so you can download this from the gallery and you will get what you see here. Everything will still be in place. That's one of the amazing things about the tool mod by Twisted Maxi. I'm also going to link the mod down below in the description box, so you can just go grab it yourself and try it out. So I wanted the castle to sit on top of a hill, and I created this slope and I smoothed it out. And as I've told you before, the main indicator if your Sims will be able to walk up the slope is the terrain color. You can see down at the bottom the color has changed on the slope, this grayish brown color, and as soon as it changes its color, your Sims won't be able to walk on the terrain. So I smoothed it out and I reached a specific height. Like at this point I thought, okay, the slope is looking cool. I want the castle to be built on top. You can here see how I'm flattening the terrain. So this is kind of the height that I was going for, but I still wanted the whole thing to look a bit higher. I wanted the terrain to be more complex, because here at this point, this build was all about the terrain, the landscaping. So I simply decided to basically dig a hole at the very bottom just to create more levels, to make it more interesting. So I lowered the terrain, and this way it also looks a bit higher in total because of the height difference of the top and then at the bottom inside the hole kind of. And then I created a second slope, and this whole process took me like 2 days, like not up until this point, but until I had finished both slopes. You will soon see what I'm talking about, because I went all out on these two pathways. I used so many objects. It's so detailed. I also used a lot of tool magic. So for the first slope up until this point, there are only rocks, and as I've said, you could totally just build them in a basement and raise them, and you wouldn't need the tool mod to create this. But here, this path, these stairs, all of this, I used a lot of tool magic for this, and you would definitely need tool to create exactly what I created here. So at first I used this base game debug column and I used to rotate it, and later on this one won't be visible anymore. It's just kind of like some type of guideline, because I'm going to use a base game debug wood plank and a get together object to kind of hide this object completely. But it was much easier for me to lay out the main shape of my stairs by using this object first, and this object doesn't have a footprint. So this means your Sims are going to walk right through it, and you just saw this. The Sim is walking up these stairs. I mean, not really the stairs, just the path below, but it's functional. So your Sims can walk up there and use this entrance, which is amazing. And yeah, then I just rotated lots of debug planks, which also don't have a footprint, which is amazing. And then I did a little mistake. I used a get famous object, which has a footprint. You can see it here on top of the stairs, but then I got rid of it later on and replaced it with an object from Get Together. And then I used a fence from Get Famous. There's a similar one in Get Together. So this is not like a proper fence that you can just build. It's just an object which looks like a fence. And the cool thing is you can place it however you want. Here in this case, for example, I used Tool to rotate each individual object. And this way I was able to create this railing for these stairs. And you can here see how I'm rotating each object. So usually after rotating it, after I was done with one object, I used Tool to clone it. And then I just rotated it a bit more. So I was able to create this curved shape. And I did the same for all these wood planks and this Get Famous object that I placed on top of the stairs. So this took a long time. So this slope and the other one took me like 2 days in total, including the landscaping. And this is like a really long time. Usually I would finish a whole build almost in this time span, or at least in 3 to 4 days. So this took a long time. And while I was working on this, I thought it would be so cool if I could just group multiple objects using Tool, and if I could then rotate around the center, this would make my life so much easier. And this isn't possible, or up until this point it wasn't possible, because while I was working on this function wasn't added to Tool yet, but now it is for Patreon. So after I finished these slopes, I looked on Twitter, and sure enough there was an update for Patreon. So I grabbed the updated version. It's soon going to be available to the public, so soon everyone can use this new function. And before this update, the way it was you group multiple objects and then you rotated them, and then each object was rotated, but you still had to kind of align them and place them. It was really tedious, and now it's great. So technically you could rotate all these different objects like I did here. Then you could just select all of these objects and you could rotate the whole thing. And this wasn't possible, as I said, but now it is with the updated versions. So if you are a Twisted Maxi Patreon, you can grab this version, and as I said, soon it will be available to the public. And this it's life-changing, really. Honestly, if you are doing a lot of stuff using Tool, it's just saving so much time, and I'm just so in love. Like, I'm in love with this update. When I just downloaded it and started to play around with it, I was just so in love. Just absolutely amazing. So I wanted to create some type of chain bridge, even though it doesn't make a lot of sense because there's no water below. And at first I really wanted to incorporate a bit of water using the pool tool, but then I thought, I don't know, it would be too much. There's already so much stuff going on when you look at the terrain and all these rocks. I really wanted to keep the landscaping a bit simple. I felt like it was already overwhelming, including the whole castle eventually when I edited it. So I thought, okay, I'm simply going to leave it like that. So the bridge doesn't make a lot of sense, and I was just talking about simply cloning it and rotating it using Tool, and that's what I actually did eventually, because on the very left of the build I'm also going to build a slope, and your Sims can also access the build over there. But then I thought, oh my god, I just want to have a second chain bridge, so I simply copied what I had built. I rotated the whole thing using the new Tool update, and then I placed it on the left side, so there will be 2 of them actually. But here I wanted to build a gate. I knew from the get-go that I would like to have a slope and then some type of gate on top. And I just used a doorway and lots of stuff. Like, I really used lots of stuff. I decorated it like crazy. The thing is, this isn't inside my comfort zone, and I have no idea when it's too much or too little. So I just add more and more stuff until it looks kind of medieval. This here is one of the cool kitchen stuff cutting boards, for example, that I just placed all around this wall. I just wanted this to look medieval in some type of way. And for the landscaping, I used a lot of these cute flowers. I think they are from different packs. They look really colorful and like wild flowers. And this was the look that I was going for. I didn't want it to look like some type of flower bed or something. I just wanted this to look really cute and kind of overgrown and lots of trees. And I figured this would be perfect for this type of look. And then I started to work on the area at the top. And at this point, I was already working on this build for a long time, but I still hadn't started to work on the castle. And then I started to think, what if I don't nail the castle? Then I just have a lot of fancy landscaping, a chain bridge, a gate, and that's it. So what am I going to do if I can't nail the castle? I think I would have just built a mansion eventually. Like, imagine this. All this whole medieval design, the landscaping, the chain bridge, and then just another mech mansion on top. Why not? I mean, in the world of mech mansions, anything is possible. I saw a TikTok recently about some mansions in Utah, and apparently there are lots of over-the-top mansions. I don't know. I just saw this in the TikTok and I read the comments, so don't quote me on that. I have no idea. I'm not the expert here. But apparently this is like really common over there. And in the TikTok, they drove up a road and there were so many over-the-top mansions, like mech mansions, seriously, like horrible mech mansions kind of. And one of these mansions, it was like some type of castle actually, and my jaw just dropped. I thought, oh my god, the crazy stuff that we are building in The Sims that is also sometimes really tacky and over the top. This stuff is existing out there. Like, I don't want to insult these mansions, but there's just a point where it just over the top, not in a good way. I don't know if you know McMansion Hell. This is like a website, I think also a Facebook page, where an architect is like sharing pictures of all these McMansions and like explaining what's wrong with them. For example, when you have a column in a building, it should support something, not just for decorative weird purposes. And when you look at this, it's like, wow. And the weird thing is, I've been following this website for many, many years, and I really enjoy it. It's like really fun, and you learn something about architecture in a fun way. And then I just started to build these things in The Sims, I feel like. But well, I have fun, and why not? And I bet the people who live in these McMansions also love their homes, so I'm not going to say anything negative. I'm just as guilty as the real-life architects who design these McMansions, because I'm building them in The Sims for people to admire. Like, not this castle, this is just a weird fantasy build, I feel like, but like some of the mansions that I'm building. But I have fun, and that's what it's all about, and some of you enjoy them, so why not? I think in a game you can just be creative, just unleash your creativity, and some of these architects just think the same. They're like, hey, I'm just going to unleash my creativity, and then this thing is going to be built in real life somewhere. This is just great. And here I'm starting to work on the castle, like the actual build. So I'm done with working on the landscaping, my slopes, my bridges, all these things, and now I'm working on this tower. And I know that this happens quite often, but the interior isn't as big as the whole lot and the landscaping, because as you can tell, I used so much space for landscaping. I still wish we had bigger lots, but 64 by 64 is the biggest lot size available, and I did my best. But the cool thing is we now got bunk beds, so there's totally enough space for a big sim family. So if you want to have like 8 sims, not a problem. There's enough space in this. It just doesn't look as huge as you would think, like on the inside. And I then decided to build a wall, like some type of castle wall. And I used a little trick that I have also shown you in a tutorial at some point. But I then decided against this, but you can still see how I'm doing it. I built a wall, then a half wall on top. Then I built a room, a flop piece on top. I got rid of the room, so I had a floating flop piece. I made it higher, so it was floating on the correct height. I then built a roof on top, and then I moved the roof, so I was able to build a roof on top of the half wall. The problem is, as soon as you change anything, when you remove a wall, when you build a wall, anything, it's going to get rid of the roof. And I used the same method for the little gate, or the big gate, the main gate in the center. And this is like not connected to the rest of the build, so this wasn't an issue. But at some point I just couldn't be bothered. I thought, okay, I could just still add this at the very end. But then I figured if you are downloading the build as soon as you want to change something, you might lose the roof, and this isn't that big of an issue when it comes to the gate because, again, it's not connected to the rest of the house. So I decided against this. I just built a roof there, just a regular roof. I still left the half walls, but I then just changed it. But I still left it in the video so I could show you and I could talk about it. So if you are interested in this method, if you want to do this yourself, then I just wanted to include it. The thing is, when you do this, when you have your floating floor piece and the roof on top, you have to make sure that you move the roof off the floor piece. So the roof is not connected to your floating floor piece anymore. So you only have a floating roof essentially, and then you can just move it over to your half wall. Otherwise, it's always going to tell you, I don't know, I even forgot the error at this point. What is it called? Conflicting block clusters and all that. And it's not going to work. So I also made a tutorial about this. As I said, you can find it in the description box. I always link my tutorial playlist. So if you're interested in learning this step by step, but I think I already explained this a bit. I then built just more. I just added more to the castle, and I also built a couple of towers. I even placed more of them eventually because it just looked so empty. There was so much landscaping going on. When I took a look at the castle, something was missing, so I ended up adding more and more towers. And actually, Sadie inspired me to do this as well. I showed her the build and she was like, maybe a tower here and there. And she was totally right because she's like the master of castles, fantasy builds. So I was really happy that she gave me some advice because, again, not my comfort zone. I'm not really good at this. And I'm just happy to move on to just another style and build after this. I don't know. Just let me know, do you want to see another unique build first? Like unique in general and when it comes to my style and my channel, or do you want to see another mansion because it's been a while? I don't know, let me know. I always love to just hear what you want to see, and you were all requesting a castle, so here it is. So let's see what's next. I just have so much fun building recently. I always enjoy building, but stepping out of my comfort zone has given me new motivation, and I just have so much fun. Like, I really enjoy it. Sometimes you just don't even notice that you just have to try something new, that you are kind of restricting yourself creatively. Sometimes you just have to try new things, I guess. And here, what you see here is the end of the chain bridge that I built in the beginning, like the path with these wonderful stairs. And I had to connect the top to the house, so your Sims were able to enter the house over there. There are 3 entrances in total, so your Sims can decide where they want to enter the house. It's all connected and all functional and all play tested. And I was kind of really losing it when I was building these stairs, like the ones on the right side. And as I said earlier, I used an object that had a footprint, and I didn't realize. And when I was done, I wanted to play test these stairs, and my Sim wasn't walking up, and I just took the whole thing apart. Like, I saved it to my library, and then I removed more and more stuff until I realized that it's just this object. And I was really happy when I finished this. So always check if an object has a footprint first if you want to build something like this. And this here is the interior. I really wanted this to look luxurious yet medieval, like a castle. So I was really struggling because the exterior is one thing, but as you know, I always mention this, interiors are much harder for me than working on the exterior. And then it had to be medieval. It just kind of had to look good. So I was really struggling. So I simply decided to do something that's a bit over the top. So I just used these fences as room dividers. I used some island counters, as you can see here, so there would be some area to sit. And then, as you will see, I wanted to build a huge dining area. It's like some type of open living concept once again, which probably isn't really true to what living looked like in the medieval times, but I just did my best here. And I, of course, also want this to be practical when you play in it, so you just have everything next to each other. You can just cook something up, and then you have the dining area right next to the kitchen. And I think that the living room is kind of, I don't know, it doesn't really look medieval. And I was really struggling. At first I wanted to use some sofas from the Vampires pack, but it also didn't look right. I don't know. And I also incorporated ATV, so I guess it's more like a remodeled castle from the medieval times, and now it's like someone rich is living in there. I don't know, but I definitely had to build ATV and a computer, so your Sims have just everything they need, because that's always important. I also used some debug candles from the Paranormal Stuff pack, and these curtains are also from the Paranormal Stuff pack. What I'm super proud of is this wooden wall in the kitchen. I think it's a base game wallpaper, and I think it just looks so cool. It makes the kitchen so much better. And I didn't forget a fridge. I just didn't add it here yet, but I'm going to do that soon. And for the fancy dining area, I combined 4 tables, which are all from Get Together. So I just built them, and then at the corners, you can see that it doesn't look perfect because the size isn't like, it's just not fitting perfectly. So I simply decided to build some columns, which looks really fancy. I then had to just change the position a bit because it wasn't really fitting, but then it was perfect and I was really happy. And also this lamp, this chandelier, whatever this is from Get Famous actually. I used quite a lot of stuff from Get Famous because there is like this whole theme of having a movie set and stuff, and there's some type of pirate theme going on, I think. And in the debug menu you find lots of cool stuff for this. Also this fence and the lamp and just different things. Just really perfect and really fun. I also think the fire pit that I built in the kitchen just to make it a bit more medieval is also a Get Famous debug object, if I'm not mistaken. And this here is the living room area. And as I said, I was struggling. At first I wanted to use these sofas, then I didn't, so I simply used the ones from the Paranormal Stuff pack. I thought the color would be cool, and it kind of goes with the curtain colors, but I'm not really 100% happy when it comes to this living room. I think because I was really able to make the kitchen and the dining area look really rustic and kind of medieval, but then, I don't know, there was some type of error in my head. Having a TV, having a proper living room, I don't know. I just did my best. But this was like when I thought, okay, now I'm really struggling. What's going on with this medieval style? This was hard. Also, has any one of you played The Sims 4 Medieval Times? Is it called Medieval Times? I don't know. I think it was. Like, I've never played it. I just read a lot of stuff on Twitter. Many people are posting about it all the time. And some people want a medieval pack in The Sims 4. I've never played this. I don't know. I think it was a separate game, but connected to The Sims 2 or 3. I don't even know. Like, I've played 1, 2, 3, and 4, but I've never played medieval. And I think there was The Sims Castaway. Also never played that one, just the main games kind of, but I know that a lot of people really, really loved that and really enjoyed that, so I just played the main games. And I don't know, a medieval pack would be fun. I know a lot of people would love this, and then we would have like more cool stuff for builds like this, I guess, but the Vampires pack is also perfect for this kind of style. Also, I want to say the share challenge video is coming super soon, like this week. Like, I'm releasing this video at the weekend, and it just took me way longer than I wanted. Then I also started to work on this build, which also took me way longer than I expected, because usually a build doesn't take me that long. I'm really sorry. So in the next days it's going to come out. Like this week I'm working really hard on this, and I'm so sorry. I'm like really slow when it comes to share challenge videos in general, like looking at all the stuff and all that, but yeah, I'm really, really sorry. I've read a couple of comments, so it's coming really soon. I'm sorry. I hope that next time I'm going to be like much faster. I'm really sorry, and there's lots of other fun stuff that I've planned, and I'm just sorry. I just want to apologize. And this video is slowly coming to an end. You can find this build in my gallery. It's fully furnished, CC free and unmodded, because even though I used the tool mod, as you know, this does not affect the gallery upload and you don't need the mod to download this build, even though I highly recommend getting the mod. And the tray files are available on my Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, it's time to thank my wonderful Emerald Patreons. Thank you so much to Britta1607, Charlotte, Molly, Queen Ewing, Roy, Shannon McClam, Sim Sadie, Talena Lynn, and Victoria Smithies. Thank you so much, and of course, thank you to all my other patrons, and thank you to anyone who watches this, who supports me, who shares my builds, who likes, who's just supporting me. I love all of you so much, and I equally appreciate all of your support. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye!